Discover the heartwarming moment. A lonely CEO transforms a little girl's life with dance. In a suburban town bustling with life, Tom Reynolds, the reserved CEO of a tech empire, gazed out from his gold-plated corner office but felt nothing. The impressive skyline, filled with glass towers, mirrored his accomplishments, yet all he could sense was the hollowness echoing within. Success didn't shield him from the gnawing loneliness of an empty home. Every day, he sank deeper into isolation, feeling the ache of family absence and community neglect. The confines of his luxurious office did nothing to plug the void in his heart. Then, something unexpected began to draw him to the nearby community center, where laughter spilled like sunlight through its open doors. Children twirled and leaped in dance classes, their delight infectious. Among them was Maya, an 8-year-old girl with a sparkle in her eyes but clouds over her heart. She longed to join the laughter but felt invisible in her modest attire, waiting for a moment of acceptance that always seemed just out of reach. The dance floor was a dream she felt unworthy to step onto. The melodies stirred something deep inside her, but she remained frozen on the sidelines, held hostage by fears of inadequacy. One afternoon, the magnetic energy of the dance class pulled Tom in like a moth to a flame. As he stepped into the room, vibrant music enveloped him, and children spun joyfully around. But his eyes landed on Maya, hunched and tearful in the corner, her pain evident even in the midst of such merriment. A surge of empathy washed over him, awakening memories of his own dreams long postponed. Without thinking, he approached her. "Hey, why don't you dance with me?" he asked, extending his hand. To everyone's surprise, including her own, Maya took his hand, a spark igniting as their fingers intertwined. They began to dance, a gentle sway at first, then a whirlwind of laughter and movement, lifting both their spirits. The room buzzed with applause and cheers, and in that moment, divides melted away. They created a world all their own, filled with a joy both had yearned for. But as quickly as their connection blossomed, it began to fray. Tom's world spiraled into chaos. A product of his company's faltering launch plunged him into a storm of criticism from the board and public. His carefully curated image crumbled, and doubts invaded. He felt like a fraud, overshadowed by his own once enviable status. The struggles of those like Maya pressed on him, and he questioned his ability to inspire this little girl, who seemed to have so much of what he had lost. Outside the dance studio, they met again. Tom's heart raced with a mix of hope and fear. Uncertainty filled the air as they stood facing each other, two worlds colliding. Just as he reached out to connect, a startling noise broke the fragile moment apart, leaving an unsettling tension hanging heavy. Would they overcome their fears and confront the very insecurities that sought to tear them apart? As the vibrant music echoed around them, the stakes soared, and the community remained unaware of the delicate balance woven into the fabric of their shared dreams. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Timid glances merged with bubbling hope. They began to share their stories, each word a thread weaving together their dreams and unmet desires. What did it mean for a lonely CEO to hold the dreams of a little girl in the palm of his hand? Would he stand beside her as she leaped toward her aspirations, or would he falter, crushed under the weight of doubt? The clock ticked ominously. The future lay open before them, a tantalizing promise filled with potential, depending on whether they could weather the storm together. Tom felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders, like a dance floor waiting for a performance that could change everything. He took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. As Maya looked up at him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears, he could see her spirit flickering like a candle in the wind. Sometimes it feels too big, doesn't it? He began, his voice soft yet steady. Dreams can feel overwhelming. He knew that feeling well. His own dreams, the ones he chased passionately, had turned into something that loomed over him like a dark cloud. An overwhelming presence that suffocated joy. Maya nodded, her brow furrowed with understanding. "What if I mess up?" she murmured, her voice almost a whisper, laden with doubt. The panic in her voice struck a chord deep within him. He understood that her fear was not just about dance, it was about life, the stumbling, the falling, and the fear of never getting back up. "You know," he said, kneeling slightly to meet her gaze, "I mess up all the time. But when I fall, it's not the end. It's just part of the journey." She considered his words, her small face pensive. The room around them was filled with the sounds of laughter and music, but to them, it felt like they were in their own little bubble. "Will you dance with me again?" Tom asked, extending his hand. The fear of his own imperfections softened as he saw Maya's eyes light up with curiosity. Just then, the noise from a nearby class erupted into cheers. A group of older children had perfected a routine, and the pride in their achievements reverberated through the community center, igniting the hope within Maya. She looked at Tom and then back to the dance floor, where children were celebrating each other's successes. "Yes!" she exclaimed, a brightness igniting her spirit. "But can we dance like them? Fast and all spinny?" "Absolutely," Tom replied, his heart swelling with encouragement. With that, they dove into a world of rhythm and laughter, swirling together, their movements synchronized as if they had performed together forever. Tom felt alive again, every twirl releasing the weight of his corporate troubles, every step echoing his dedication to rejuvenating not just Maya but himself too. Their routine was filled with playful spins, drops, and little laughter-filled breaks. Each time Maya stumbled, Tom caught her and spun her right back into the rhythm, teaching her that even a falter could turn into a graceful moment if approached with joy. As they danced, the walls that separated their two worlds began to crumble. Children around them noticed the connection, their giggles filling the air, each cheer a testament to the love blooming between this unlikely duet. But just as quickly as their bond flourished, the external world called to Tom, loudly, flashes of his phone buzzing and emails piling up flooded back. His reminders of deadlines and board meetings loomed like a storm cloud overhead. "Maya," he began, his own vulnerability creeping in. "I have to deal with some things." She looked at him, confusion shadowing her face. Are we still going to dance?" Tom swallowed hard. He hesitated, his heart breaking at the thought of disappointing her. I want to. I really do." She searched his eyes, and in that moment, he realized that their roles had shifted. It was not just him guiding her, it was also her trust in him that could become his lifeline. "What if you just let go of worry for a bit? We can dance without thinking." Maya smiled, an innocence that reminded him of the joy he once knew before ambition took over. His heart raced. Could he truly let go? The thought scared him, yet her words resonated within, shimmering with the promise of freedom, and as the music swelled around them once more, Tom took a deep breath. He opened his arms, letting the rhythm wash over him. In Maya's eyes, he found hope. Could he put aside his chaos and embrace the dance of life? Would they dare to dream together, despite the uncertainty waiting back on the other side? With renewed determination, Tom took Maya's hand again, ready to leap into the unknown. What followed would change not just their afternoon but their very paths ahead. Would this be the moment that would define their futures, or another opportunity lost to fear? Tom tightened his grip on Maya's hand, as if holding on to a lifeline. The beat of the music pulsed through the air, inviting him to fully embrace the moment. This was no longer just about her chasing her dreams, it was about them both finding freedom in their movements, a release from the pressures that weighed them down. They swayed, their bodies aligning with the rhythm. Tom felt alive, electric, swept up in the music's energy. He smiled down at Maya, and for the first time in a long while, the weight of his responsibilities faded. "Let's make it a real dance," he cheered, spinning her out before pulling her back in. Her laughter filled the space, a bright sound that seemed to fight against the gloom hovering over his life. "Again. Faster," she urged, her excitement contagious as she began to twirl on the spot. Tom couldn't help but laugh along, feeling the rush of joy spilling out of them both, but as he turned to follow her lead, a shadow flickered at the corner of his mind. The emails were still there, waiting, unrelenting. Meetings rising like mountains on the horizon. A voice whispered that he should do something, his mind frantically replaying a list of obligations. But the more he tried to listen to that voice, the harder he found it to connect with the present. Maya, he started, hesitating. Her enthusiasm never wavered. She was spinning, her dress flaring out like a flower in bloom. She had no idea of the storm that loomed in his life. What if we made this routine special? Just for us? She suggested, her eyes wide with joy. His heart fluttered at the thought, a ritual formed entirely from spontaneity and laughter. Sure. But what about worry? Can we really dance without thinking? Of course. That's the best part. She exclaimed, her voice ringing with innocence. Dance with your heart. Just like you told me. He felt a weight lift and a familiar sense of curiosity tighten in his chest. Okay, let us do it. With Maya by his side, Tom closed his eyes, allowing the music to wash over him like a warm wave. The notes enveloped him, wrapping around his soul and loosening the knots of anxiety tightly woven within him. As they danced, Tom began to flourish, arms flowing freely, feet moving unhesitatingly with every beat. He felt weightless, as if he had shed the layers of his corporate life. Swaying and spinning, he lost himself in the moment, letting the rhythm become part of who they were, an expression of joy that felt like the sun rising after a long, cold night. Look at everybody. Maya said between spins, pointing to the other kids who were watching them. They had paused their own routines, mere spectators to this dance of liberation. She was right. He glanced around, seeing their eyes alight with excitement, their cheers filled with encouragement. But just as quickly as the connection grew, the pit of anxiety in Tom's stomach tugged at his thoughts again. The joy he felt battled with shadows creeping back in. What if I have to stop? This won't last forever, and then he saw it, Maya's reflection of pure, unfiltered joy. Perhaps this moment was a secret he could carry with him, even amidst chaos. Let us show them our best moves. He shouted, pushing aside the burgeoning doubt. They surged ahead, twirling and spinning, creating a world only they could navigate, a world filled with courage and hope, and just when Tom thought their whirlwind of dance might end, Maya tugged his hand. Let us go out there. To the big kids. Guided by her enthusiasm, they approached the larger kids, catching the attention of those who had previously focused solely on their own strong moves. But would this leap into the unknown be the catalyst for something more? As they faced the chatter and cheers of the crowd, the pulse of music in their ears, Tom couldn't help but wonder, could this moment of connection unravel the complexities of his own life? What awaited them outside their little bubble? Would they inspire others, or would the pressures of reality pull them back apart? Tom and Maya stood hand in hand, hearts racing with a mix of excitement and trepidation. As they approached the group of older kids, Tom felt like a tiny bird perched on the edge of a vast, uncharted sky. Each step toward the crowd felt monumental. Simon, it'll be fun. Maya chirped, her vibrant energy illuminating the air around them. The lively dancers spun in intricate patterns, their movements fluid and confident. He couldn't help but admire the grace with which they moved, but doubt whispered again in his ear, would they accept him? As they crossed the threshold into the gathering, the rhythm of the music pulsed more fiercely, a beating heart echoing through the crowd. Tom could feel the eyes upon them, curious, expectant. For a fleeting moment, he considered retreating, letting the music continue to be this perfect escape. But then he glanced down at Maya, her eyes wide, sparkling with pure delight. What do we do now? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Just dance. Show them what we've got. She urged, her confidence a beacon that pulled him forward. With a deep breath, Tom recalled the joy they had just shared. He mirrored Maya's spontaneity, flinging himself into the space around them. Her infectious laughter rang out before him, drifting like a playful breeze, and it pushed him deeper into the dance. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The moves they had created together took flight. He twirled her around, and the watchful crowd erupted into cheers, igniting a warmth that spread through him. Their encouragement wrapped around like a warm blanket, warding off the chill of his worries. For the first time in ages, Tom felt liberated from the ever-pressing deadlines and the suffocating weight of his responsibilities. Maya spun like a whirlwind, her dress unfurling like petals in bloom, dazzling the audience. The humble beginnings of their dance routine transformed, shaping into a vibrant performance that seemed to awaken the spirits of everyone watching. He marveled at how their connection turned into a celebration, a moment that transcended the critical burdens he carried. As they danced, a ripple of inspiration stirred in the crowd, igniting little faces with awe and excitement. Parents, seated nearby, exchanged smiles, with some even tapping their feet to the infectious beat. For some, it was a reminder of the joy and freedom of youth, while for others, the dance offered a refreshing inhale amidst their demanding lives. "Tom! Look!" Maya shouted, pointing toward a young girl timidly standing on the outskirts, eyes wide as she watched the performance unfold. "She wants to dance, too." In that moment, Tom realized this wasn't just about him or Maya. Their light could reach others. He nodded toward the girl, signaling her to join them. The spark of courage ignited in her hesitant stance. Slowly, she edged forward, hands fiddling nervously with her shirt. "Come on. We're all friends here," he called out, his voice full of warmth and encouragement. Maya clapped her hands, inviting the young dancer into the spotlight they had created. With a deep breath, the girl stepped into the circle, and Tom could see her uncertainty gradually shift into something brighter. Her shy smile began to blossom, and soon she joined their dance, aligning her rhythm with theirs. As the three of them twirled and laughed, Tom felt an unmistakable surge of fulfillment flood through him. But even amidst the joy, a lingering question nagged at the back of his mind: how long could this feeling last? Would they be able to inspire others, or would the reality of their lives, filled with burdens and unrelenting duties, overshadow today's liberation? In the heat of the dance, he glanced at Maya, her laughter echoing like a refrain, and his heart swelled with warmth. What if this moment was just the beginning? What if they could reach beyond the dance floor, transforming not just their lives but also unfolding paths for those around them? The music echoed, and as they swayed together, an exhilarating thought crossed his mind: could this simple act of dancing ignite a change not just for them, but for everyone who felt trapped in life's rhythm? The energy in the air crackled like a live wire as Tom, Maya, and the new girl danced together. Around them, the crowd swayed, caught in the infectious wave of joy that radiated from their little trio. With each spin and jump, Tom noticed the various expressions from the watching kids. Some were curious, while others seemed inspired, their own inhibitions melting away like ice in the summer sun. "Look at them!" Maya beamed, her hair flying in every direction as she laughed. The brightness in her eyes was a mirror reflecting the joy that filled Tom's heart. He had never seen her so alive, and it fueled him to dance even harder. As the music picked up, Tom began to innovate. He incorporated little moves they created in secret: fancy footwork, silly spins, even a playful leap. Maya followed, and the shy girl mimicked them hesitantly, growing bolder with every beat. The crowd cheered louder, urging them on like a wave racing to shore. "See? You're doing great!" Tom encouraged the girl, who beamed back, her confidence blossoming with each moment. They were a team now, united by the rhythm. Lost in the moment, Tom felt a shift within himself. He was dancing not just for others to see but for the pure freedom of it, allowing the music to seep through his veins. Every care that had clung to him began to dissipate. He was a kid again, no worries about grades, responsibilities, or the endless to-do lists that awaited him. For now, there was only the dance. Then, as their spinning dance spiraled higher, Tom caught a glimpse of something in the crowd. There, among the parents and onlookers, was an older boy, arms crossed, smirking. He looked skeptical, rolling his eyes at their joyful chaos. Tom's heart sank. He remembered the feeling of being judged, the sting of scorn. What if this boy's disdain cast a shadow over their moment? Don't let them bring you down. Maya shouted out, her voice ringing with strength. Dance like no one's watching. Her encouragement cut through his doubt like a hot knife through butter. Compelled and ignited anew, Tom turned his focus back to the crowd. He looked at the little girl who had joined them and remembered how far she had come. They were in this together. He raised his arms and encouraged everyone to join the movement, dancing aside judgment, allowing the joy to overwrite criticism. To his surprise, the audience was a sea of enthusiastic faces, waving arms, clapping hands, losing themselves in the fun. Even the skeptical boy had gradually unfolded his arms, a flicker of admiration lighting up his face. The spirit of liberation was contagious, and Tom couldn't suppress his grin. As the music reached a crescendo, a burst of energy flowed through their circle. The older kids surged forward, joining in. It became a massive wave of laughter, claps, and twirls. Tom felt a sense of connection unlike anything he had ever experienced before. They were no longer strangers, they were part of a family connected through dance and joy. Eventually, the music slowed, the heart-pounding beats fading into softer sounds, but the moment remained electric. Tom and Maya stood breathless in the center, surrounded by now familiar faces smiling, cheering, and embracing the shared thrill. Just when the warmth of the evening felt like a perfect ending, a voice crackled from the crowd like lightning. Wait! You all have to see this. A teenage girl broke through the throng, excitement bubbling over with the announcement. Tom exchanged a glance with Maya, uncertainty lacing his joy. What could this girl want to reveal? He felt a thrum of anticipation racing within him. What else could unfold in this unexpected, glorious night? The teenage girl skidded to a stop before them, panting slightly. Her wide eyes sparkled with anticipation, shadows dancing across her face. You've got to see what's happening back there, she exclaimed, barely able to contain herself. Tom felt his pulse quicken, caught between curiosity and the electric afterglow of the dance. He followed the girl's intense gaze towards a cluster of kids gathered near the edge of the park, whispering and pointing, their excitement palpable. Instinctively, he reached for Maya's hand. Come on, she urged, pulling him toward the crowd. As they approached, the cheers grew louder, morphing into a euphoric chatter. Tom's heart raced not from fear, not from doubt, but from the thrill of anticipation, much like the feeling just before they had started dancing. Navigating through the throng, they finally caught sight of what had captivated everyone. A tall, confident girl stood on a small platform, her own energy radiating like a beacon. She had a boom box by her side, playing an upbeat remix. Children were gathered around her, eyes wide and eager, mimicking bold dance moves she created. Wow, Maya breathed, a smile breaking across her face. This is incredible. She's amazing. Yeah, Tom replied, a warmth blooming in his chest. He watched the girl lead them twists and turns, smiles and spins, her laughter infectious. There was something empowering in her actions, reminiscent of their own earlier joy. Then, quite unexpectedly, the girl glanced over her shoulder and met Tom's eyes. A flicker of realization washed over her expression, and she pointed directly at him. You! Come up here. Something primal stirred inside Tom, a strange mix of disbelief and excitement. He had been the one encouraging others just moments ago, and now he was being called. Me? He asked, eyes darting around to Maya's. Go for it, she encouraged, practically bouncing on her heels. With a deep breath, Tom stepped onto the small platform, the eyes of all the kids locked on him. He felt a rush, the air thick with anticipation and wonder. What do you want me to do? He asked, a playful grin creeping onto his face. Just dance. Show us that same energy. She laughed, the warmth of her smile easing his nerves. As the music shifted to a familiar beat, Tom felt the rhythm pulse through him, like an electric current. He closed his eyes for a moment, lost in the beat, then began to move. His body responded instinctively, hitting the steps and spins, finding freedom in the groove. The crowd erupted into cheers. Kids cheered him on, clapping hands in sync with his movements. Their energy became a cyclone of encouragement, lifting him higher. Maya joined him on the platform, dancing beside him as more kids jumped on stage with them, caught in the thrill. Joy spread like wildfire, engulfing the crowd and pulling the skeptical older boy into the frenzy. He fought his smirk, briefly shaking his head, before giving in to laughter and stepping forward to join them. As they danced, Tom glanced out at the faces in the crowd, each one reflecting the same joy he'd felt earlier. There was a connection threading through them, a bond ignited by joy and a shared passion. Then, just as the joyous revelry peaked, the music scratched and halted abruptly, cutting through the laughter like a sharp wind. "What is going on?" someone shouted, confusion rippling through the crowd. Tom felt his heart drop. Had they taken this too far? Had the magic just slipped away? And then the girl with the boom box spoke again, her voice cutting through the tension. "Don't worry. I've got something better. You're all invited to dance at the community festival tomorrow." Chatter erupted with excitement. Tom exchanged a look with Maya, exhilarated yet unsure. What did that mean for them? Would this night somehow become a stepping stone, or a fleeting moment? The music resumed with an even better beat, but Tom couldn't shake the questions swirling in his mind. What else awaited them at this festival? And would they be bold enough to take the next step together? As Tom's thoughts raced, the beat resumed, and he was swept back into the wave of music. The crowd pulsed with energy again, bright lights twinkling down on them. Laughter and cheers rose like a tidal wave, washing over any lingering doubt. Maya leaned closer to Tom, her eyes alight with excitement. "This is amazing. We should totally go to the festival tomorrow." Tom nodded, still processing everything. The festival seemed gigantic in scope, filled with endless possibilities. But a tiny voice inside his head wondered if they would truly make the most of it. Just think of it. All these people dancing, the music, the food. It's going to be fun. Maya exclaimed, her enthusiasm infectious. He smiled, feeling a warmth spread through him. It was impossible to ignore the buzz of excitement that surrounded them. Yet he couldn't shake his own worries. What if tomorrow wasn't as magical? What if the energy faded? But as they stood together, surrounded by the laughter of new friends, those worries slipped away for the moment. The crowd swayed together once again, captured by the girl with the boom box. "Let us show them what we've got," the girl shouted as she raised her hands high. Tom felt a surge of camaraderie as they joined the rest in an exhilarating dance, everyone moving to the same rhythm, laughter echoing around them like a sweet melody. As the night wore on, the girl encouraged everyone to take turns showing off their own dance moves. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. Each person who stepped up had their moment to shine, the spotlight creating a dazzling space for vulnerability. No one cared if they were perfect, it was all about letting loose, being free, and having fun. Then it was Maya's turn. Tom watched as she took center stage, her spirit vibrant and infectious. She twirled and spun, her laughter rising above the music. Tom's heart swelled with pride. She was in her element, and the joy radiating from her was contagious. "Come on, Tom. Join me," Maya called, extending her hand. Tom felt the thrill again. He couldn't help but grin and jumped into the mix, following her lead. Their movements were a dance of friendship, a connection that felt more profound than anything he had experienced before. But amidst the laughter and joy, a part of him still felt tethered to his worries, flickering like a candle in a breeze. What would happen when the music stopped? Once again, the music came to an abrupt halt, and a hush fell over the crowd. All eyes turned toward a trio of adults at the edge of the park, visibly annoyed. They were furrowing their brows, arms crossed, clearly unhappy about the impromptu party. "Maya, what do we do now?" Tom whispered, his pulse racing. The magic of the moment threatened to unravel, and he felt a pang of panic. Maya squeezed his hand tighter, her eyes darting between the scowling adults and their fellow dancers, who were now unsure of what to do. "We can't let them end this. We need to keep dancing." But as the adults began to step toward the platform, the uncertainty settled heavily in Tom's chest. Was the festival tomorrow going to face the same fate? Would they be able to dance freely, or would there always be someone waiting to put a stop to their joy? In that moment, Tom realized they couldn't just stand by. They had to face this challenge together. "Let us do this," he said, determination building inside him. "Let us show them how important this is. They LLC." He took a deep breath, stepping forward, ready to defy the encroaching darkness and fight for their right to celebrate life and dance. The energy shifted in the air, everyone drew in closely, waiting for his lead, and just then, Tom realized, sometimes it took more than joy, it took courage to stand up for what you loved. Would this battle unfold as they danced for their freedom, or would it all slip away? Tom took a step toward the adults, his heart pounding. Around him, everyone held their breath as if the world had paused. The bright colors of the lights flickered like stars above them, and the moon lit up the park, but all he could see were those stern faces moving closer. Maya's grip on his hand tightened, her gaze fiercely determined. "Just keep moving, Tom. Dance and show them how much this means to us." He nodded, adrenaline surging through his veins. It felt like they were standing at the edge of a cliff, about to leap into the unknown. The adults were blocking the joy they had just found, and he wouldn't let that happen. He turned to the crowd, feeling the energy shift. "Everyone, come on. Let us keep dancing," Tom shouted. His voice broke through the tension like sunlight breaking through clouds. Suddenly, someone from the crowd joined in, clapping to a beat that was all their own. Tom felt the spark. People began to sway, hands lifted, ready to resist the encroaching negativity. Laughter and music filled the air again as they began to dance, the rhythm quickening, gaining strength from their collective spirit. Maya twirled, the joy on her face contagious. More people joined the movement, their carefree spirits rising up, merging into a wave of freedom. It was customary for them to express their joy through dance, and they wouldn't surrender that right now, but the trio of adults didn't appear to be swayed. The scowls on their faces deepened as they exchanged worried glances. Tom's heart raced faster. They could ruin this night. "Maya, should we?" he started to say, but she cut him off. "We can't back down. We can't let them take this away from us." She was glowing, igniting a fire within him. As the music kicked back in, Tom focused on the rhythm. He let it swirl around him, drowning out the doubts and fears. Step by step, he danced closer to the adults, his body moving boldly. He twisted, turned, and leaped with defiance. Somehow, the adults felt the pull of the music. One of them, a woman with her arms crossed, tapped her foot reluctantly. He caught her eyes, daring her to join in. For a split second, he saw a glimmer of something: curiosity, maybe. He went on, pouring all he had into every move. The crowd cheered him on, and he could feel the energy pulsing, a collective heartbeat that surged through them all. And then, just as he reached the edge of the adults, Maya darted beside him, laughing. "Come on. Let us invite them into our world." She called to the group, and somehow, it felt possible. "Yeah. Join us." More voices joined in, breaking the tension like glass shattering on the ground. Laughter erupted, and the adults looked bewildered. Their shoulders began to loosen as they faced the fun, alive crowd. He noticed the small flicker of a smile on the woman's face, and Tom's hope ignited. Maybe, just maybe, they could get through. Maybe joy was powerful enough to soften even the hardest hearts. With the sound of laughter cascading over them, Tom grabbed Maya's hand. "Together?" he asked, his heart thumping as he threw everything into one last dance move, an outward leap that landed them at the forefront. "Together," she echoed, pulling him close. With that, they danced toward the adults, arms outstretched, and to their surprise, the atmosphere changed. It crackled with possibilities, like the air before a summer storm, charged, alive, but before they reached them, another adult stepped forward, heavy brows knitting together as he bellowed, "Enough. We're not here to have fun." The crowd fell silent, their excitement hanging in the air like a tightrope. Tom felt his heart drop, but he refused to accept defeat. "What do you mean?" he shouted back. "This is our joy. This means everything to us." The crowd collectively held its breath. Would the adults shut them down? Would they feel the spirit that had taken over the night? Tom's pulse raced in sync with the uncertainty of what lay ahead. "Maybe it's time for us to show you what this freedom means," he added, determination fueling his resolve, and suddenly, he felt the floor beneath him shift. Would they accept the invitation to joy, or would they choose to condemn it? The dance wasn't just a battle now, it was a chance to transform the night forever. Tom's voice rang out, echoing in the hushed atmosphere. Determination propelled him forward, and he felt every heartbeat around him, a steady thrum of defiance and hope. But the adult who had spoken stood firm, a wall of authority between them and the joy they desperately wanted to share. "We're not here to play games," the man barked, his voice piercing the night air like thunder. "You need to understand the importance of rules." Tom's heart pounded in his chest. "Rules?" he shouted back, frustration seeping into his voice. "Joy is important. We need this. We are allowed to celebrate." Just then, Maya stepped forward, her strength grounding him. "Look," she said, her voice steady but full of emotion, "we're not trying to disrespect anyone. We just want to share something beautiful. Dance brings us together, can't you feel it?" With that, she lifted her arms, inviting others to join her. One by one, the crowd started to mimic her, raising their arms like branches reaching for sunlight. The lively energy wrapped around them, growing thicker, a stubborn vine rooting against the unyielding wall of disapproval. The adults hesitated. For a moment, Tom saw an opening, a crack in their stern facades. The woman who had at first hesitated was now tapping her foot, nodding ever so slightly to the music. "Let us show them," Tom encouraged, rallying the crowd. "This is our freedom. We can't let anyone take it away." Maya smiled at him, her eyes sparkling. Together, they pulled everyone closer, turning the vibrant atmosphere electric. Adults around them looked on, expressions wavering, some appeared confused, others intrigued by the simple pleasure radiating from the dancers. Then, in a surprising twist, a man from the crowd stepped forward, mimicking the adults' dance but then breaking into a silly little dance, his arms flailing, feet shuffling. Laughter erupted, infectious and freeing, as others soon followed suit. One by one, more voices joined in, inviting the hesitant adults to peel away their layers of rigidity. Tom could see the woman's smile grow wider, her foot now tapping in time to the beat. Emboldened, he shouted, "Join us. Just take one step. You might like it." And then he inhaled deeply, spinning into a joyful movement, feeling the weight of the night lift as he expressed what was in his heart. The adults exchanged glances, silent conversations playing out in their expressions, weighing the costs of joy against the burdens of their authority. Maya pulled at him, grinning. "Don't stop." Tom seized the moment, urging everyone further into the dance. His heart raced, anticipation bubbling in his chest. This was their chance not just to fight for their joy but to transform the entire evening. At that moment, one adult took a tentative step forward, mirroring their carefree movements. The crowd erupted with cheers, as though that one step had unlocked something. More followed, inspired by the courage sparking in the air. "See," Tom called, beaming. "Freedom feels amazing, doesn't it?" They danced, an explosion of laughter and rhythm, weaving through trees and shimmering lights. For every adult who joined in, they felt the weight of the night gradually lifting, replaced by joy that seemed more vibrant than ever. But just as the atmosphere swelled with laughter and connection, the man's voice rang out again, stern and commanding. "Stop. This isn't how it's done." Tom froze, his heart sinking. Had they come so far only to be met with rejection again? Would their efforts crumble under the enormity of a single voice? The crowd tensed, eyes darting back to the man. Tom felt the energy shift, the joyous creation of moments threatening to slip away. Could they harness this light, this rebellion against despair, and not let it fade? He met Maya's gaze, a mixture of concern and hope reflected in her eyes. Together, they stood at the precipice of transformation. Would they have the strength to keep pushing forward, to show the adults that the power of joy could break through even the thickest barriers? As the man continued to speak, words of authority. Battling against the steady rhythm of celebration, Tom realized the next steps could change everything. But would the adults be willing to cross that line? Something had to give. He just hoped it was the heaviness of doubt. As the tension thickened in the air, Tom clenched his fists. He could feel Maya's warmth beside him, her spirit urging him onward. "We can't let them take this from us," she whispered, her voice a mix of fear and determination. "Let us show them," he replied, the conviction growing within him. He stepped forward boldly, his heart beating like a drum urging him on. "We can dance for the joy in our hearts. This is what brings us together." A ripple of excitement spread through the crowd, and one by one, they joined him, hands clapping, people starting to twirl and cheer. Laughter spilled out as they began a new dance different from before, more vibrant, uniting their voices. With every beat, the energy crackled like electricity. The stern adult's gaze softened slightly, doubt creeping into his expression as he observed the joy unfolding before him. Tom drew courage from Maya's spirit. "This isn't just dance. It's life. It's a celebration," he shouted, and the crowd echoed back with shouts of agreement, their joy rising to a crescendo. Suddenly, as if they had all practiced this moment for ages, everyone turned to the adults, extending hands, smiles breaking through the barriers of authority. "Join us. Feel the joy," they called in unison. Maya pulled Tom into a spin, their laughter weaving into the music. The adults stood still for a heartbeat, the moment felt suspended in time. Then the woman who had been tapping her foot took a step forward, almost unconsciously finding herself caught in the rhythm. "See!" Maya exclaimed, eyes gleaming. "They're starting to feel it." Tom could hardly believe it. He stepped back, allowing the dance to grow around them. More and more adults broke from their rigid stances, tentative moves transforming into enthusiastic flares of joy as they danced beside the children. The man who had initially scolded them watched with confusion transforming to curiosity and then delight. Laughter now filled the space, intoxicating and unstoppable, breaking down the last remnants of doubt. He raised his hands in surrender and took a step forward, finally giving in. I guess joy isn't so bad," he said, and the crowd thundered with applause, welcoming him into their rhythm. Tom and Maya exchanged a look of triumph, hearts racing against the beat. It was happening. In this dance, they had not only found freedom but also a bridge between worlds, a glimmer of understanding amidst skepticism and negation, and as the music pulsed, the dance transformed into a beautiful tapestry of community, a celebration of unity that wrapped around everyone. Faces lit with smiles, laughter rang loud, and the walls that separated them shattered into dust. With each turn and twirl, they began to see this moment mattered. They had created a space where worries slipped away like water through fingers. They had shifted not just their evening but their lives, standing together as a family born of joy. This is what they all needed. Finally, as the last notes faded into the warmth of the summer night, Tom felt a wave of emotions crash over him: relief, happiness, and the deep connection he had longed for. "Thank you," he said softly to Maya, as she beamed up at him, her eyes sparkling with the excitement of what had just unfolded. "No, thank you for dancing with your heart," she replied, and they both knew they would carry this moment forever, a testament to what could happen when the world felt difficult. The adults gathered around them, sharing in their laughter, the older boy from earlier now joining in, a proud smile gracing his face. They were no longer strangers, they had become friends, knit together by shared joy and newfound understanding. As they stepped back from the stage, Tom and Maya found the soft glow of the community center enveloping them like a warm embrace. With the festival just hours away, possibilities hung in the air. They had sparked something powerful that night, a light that would grow, taking them all forward. In that moment, Tom's heart brimmed with hope. They had danced through their fears, learned to celebrate instead of retreat, and built a dance floor of possibility where none had existed before. Different paths and lives brushed against one another, each person brighter for it. And as they left the dance floor, hand in hand, Tom felt a shift deep within. He was a part of something so much bigger now. Tomorrow will be amazing, Maya chirped, and he nods, confidence radiating from him now. Absolutely, he responded, a radiant smile crossing his face. Their future was bright, lit by the spirit of community and transformation. Now they would continue to dance together. If you enjoyed this heartwarming story, you need to subscribe now to the channel. Don't miss the next exclusive tales that uplift and inspire. And leave a like right now to feed the algorithm, it really helps. We want to hear from you. Comment below and share your thoughts on this beautiful ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel this transformation. Your support helps spread these stories far and wide. Together, we can create a community fueled by joy and inspiration.